Happy New Year, Kristin.
Happy New Year, Betsy.
I can't believe it's already almost the end of January.
Here we are, yes.
And, you and I often get asked about how we're always so positive.
We do.
How we're always so joyful. And so we both decided we would talk about mindset on this episode of FountainCast, episode 5. So we're going to talk about goal setting and mindset for the new year. And so let's start out and share with me, what do you think is one major thing that keeps people from getting things done?
One major thing. There's so many little things, right?
Things, yes.
Right. I feel like the time management, and I know people cringe when they hear time management. Like I sometimes cringe. I'm like, oh, I didn't use my time wisely today. Right. But I think that it does boil down to how we use our time during the day, how we let others use our time, really, whether it's customers calling or texting us and feeling like we have to respond to it right away, and not carving out times to, okay, this is time to answer messages. And so I think that it does boil down to that time management and utilizing the calendar to help yourself out with the time management piece.
Right. There's so much to unpack out of what you just said. So not only the time management piece, which we can dive into in just a second, but also that distraction piece. Yes. When you said people are texting you throughout the day and letting that people, whether they're clients or future clients, grab you from your calendar, that's a distraction. So we've talked about defragging your brain before. Yes. And part of that defragging your hard drive or defragging your brain is truly just taking the distraction away. And so what that looks like for me is when I take the distraction away, I will time block what I have to get done and turn off the phone. Turn off the computer. It doesn't matter that, or turn it away. It doesn't matter that I got 700 emails during that task or 37 texts during that task, because I have this time block that I need to get a task done. And so for me, I take all of my to-do list and I put it in my calendar as an appointment. Because otherwise, how does it get done?
Right.
Your whole calendar fills up and you don't get anything done. So what works really well for you? So that's what I do. I take my to-do list and I put it in the calendar. If it doesn't get done, it goes to another day.
Yes.
If it still doesn't get done, is it really that important? If it's that important, why am I not getting it done? So, that's another piece of this. But what works well for you?
Something similar for me also works. Setting the time periods to do it. And I even do it at home with chores. I realized the laundry was taking me, most of the day to put away. I'm like, Kristin, what are you doing? Actually, could this be done in 20 minutes? So I started setting a timer for those little tasks at home too, that could take up the entire day. And before you know it, the weekend's gone. You don't know what happened.
Right.
So that laundry can actually take me about 14 minutes to put away, not all morning or all day. But those are a lot of similar things that I do there as well. I also recently implemented days where I will take appointments with people. And so those days are reserved. There's a big block of time that I share my calendar, and anyone on our staff can book a meeting. And so I'm available those days. Then that gives me the other days and times that I can do to chamber-oriented tasks or focusing on specific things that really need to be done, that are big frogs, I guess, big, hairy, audacious goals, things that we need to do for our members that otherwise won't get done if I keep allowing those interruptions.
Exactly. Especially for you and I, when we have a full day of meetings, it doesn't mean the work goes away.
Right.
What happens is you end up with more work usually from every meeting, and so then where does that fit in unless you time block it in?
Right.
Right. And so the defragging your brain, so turning the distractions off. So that's not only everyone turns to the digital distractions. Everyone's blaming everything on the digital distractions. Yeah. And there's a reason, because it's true, that all the social media, but all the texting, all the emailing, but also real, especially in a workplace, if you have people coming into your office. So that might be physically closing your door.
Right.
Or closing the curtain on your window for that time block of things that you have to get done to just clear the mind and clear the distractions. I heard just the other day something about, when was the last time you were bored? I don't remember the last time I was bored, truly bored.
I don't remember either. I cannot speak to that at all.
Right. So, I want to say I was a child, which was a very long time ago, right? But it was talking about the power of letting yourself get bored. So having nothing scheduled, nothing to do, and just truly allowing yourself to be bored. Because if you allow yourself to be bored, there's power in that. There's power in the ideas that come to you, the epiphanies that come to you when you just allow yourself to not have anything to do or think of anything that you have to get done. And I think that's why oftentimes we have our most powerful thoughts and ideas in the shower, because
absolutely, the shower. And then I carve out time. You know me, I like to take a hike, or I'll take, the dog for a walk up at Adero Canyon. And, that's a nice little 40-minute stroll. And it's in those quiet moments where you refresh yourself, and the next great idea comes, or that solution you're not able to work out just suddenly appears.
It appears to you, absolutely. And what's happening when people don't allow themselves to have any of that quiet time, then they get stressed. And then when they're so stressed, how can you have a positive mindset? So then let's transition into having a positive mindset. So if you have a positive mindset, people have often said to me, well, you're just Pollyanna. You just, you've read too many self-help books and too many positivity books. And I think to myself, I don't think you've read enough, but I don't say that out loud. So it doesn't just come naturally to people. I think some more than others, but it's also a skill. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
That anyone can choose to have a very positive mindset. So what are some tricks or tips that you use that really help you to maintain that positive mindset?
It's so tricky to maintain that mindset, especially, someone else comes along and they throw their emotions at you, or based on the season of life you are in. That is something I've recently come to realize, and I'm actually reading a book about how your emotions, they help you make decisions. So if they're not good emotions and you don't recognize it, you can easily make the wrong decision. So I think being self-aware is very helpful, and we become more self-aware by journaling, emptying those thoughts out into a journal. So I'm not always the greatest at this. In fact, I'm horrible. It's one of my resolutions or goals to get better at this year, is taking some time to journal and just kind of dump some of that out on paper. It helps your brain be a lot more clear.
Absolutely. And you and I always talk about you become like the 5 people you hang out with.
Yes.
And so guess what? If the 5 people you hang out with are broke, you might be too.
Right. You start to adopt that mindset that they do.
And same thing with positivity. That was just a more fun example. But truly, if you hang out with a lot of negative people, chances are you're negative too. So I love that who we choose to spend our time with really does make a big difference.
It sure does.
And so I love journaling. I'm glad that you brought up journaling, but also really taking time in that journaling, or if you're not a journaling person, just, taking time to do the action, to think about what you're grateful for. And I know that there are days, right? There are days, and it's hard to think about what you're grateful for, but when you really have a habit of making sure that you take a moment to think about what you're, in gratitude for, even something like, I have water to drink today.
Yes. Sometimes that's the only thing I can think of is fresh water.
But then if you really voice that to yourself, you realize how there are people who don't.
Right.
And holy heck, why am I commiserating in my misery when I do? And then it becomes easier to think about other things that you are actually grateful for, even if it seems like basics. Even if it seems like, everything, we all have all these things, it's really exciting to think about every little piece that brings you joy or that you're grateful for. And then guess what? You get more of what you focus on. You sure do. And so you get more of those positive things. And so that also is a great way. If you don't know where to start journaling, you could start with, what are you grateful for today?
Yeah. Absolutely. And that what you focus on, that grows. My husband and I have been listening to like a hypnosis type of thing while we're sleeping, and it's about finances and things like that. And lo and behold, there was a couple of things. I got a complimentary ticket to a business summit, and that was fantastic.
Oh
and
my
something
gosh, yes.
else financial related happened as well. And I'm like, Troy, it's working. These are great, So it's just, whether or not it was an immediate result of that, but I would certainly like to think it was. And it's that mindset that drives more of what you want into your life.
Right. And that energy. Yeah. And so I was also thinking about the who, what, where, why. when, the five W's and the one H, the who, the what, the where, the why, and the how, and the when. And so truly, I think that when you can break that down, especially for a business or even for your personal life, your why is your mission, right? Why do we exist? Why are we doing this? Your where is your vision. Sometimes businesses are not even sure where to start with their mission and vision. And so if you break it down to just that, why do we exist? Why are we doing what we're doing? Where are we going? And that's your vision. But then also, what do you want? And that's your outcome goal. So if someone says, I don't know how to set a goal for 2026, well, what is the outcome you want? And then your process goal. So an outcome goal and a process goal. A process goal is, well, how do you get there? So this is what you want, but how do you get there? So it's an outcome goal, a process goal, your mission, and your vision. And then you always have to put a little red bow on it with a when, right? Yeah. When will we accomplish this? And because it doesn't really have legs until you can identify, when are we going to get started? When are we going to really look at it and make sure we're on track? And when are we going to accomplish that? And then who, not only who we are, but who is our audience?
Yes.
Or our clientele, or the people that we want to attract more of.
Who's going to help me get there? Because sometimes you can't get there yourself. You need a team, and you've got to find someone that can grow your knowledge or show you the path to get there.
Right. So I was thinking that could be a good way if someone is struggling in the area of goal setting or vision casting, or even thinking about mindset or what to do next, or even time blocking. If you start with the 5 W's and the 1 H, the who, what, where, why, when, and how of your business, of you as a person, that's all you have to do to break it down. And by the time you're done doing those 5 W's and H, you actually have your mission, your vision, your outcome goal, your process goal, and your audience, which is a huge part of getting there. And so when you just break it down, chunk it down, it's not that difficult.
Right. And I think that those are things that you hang them up in your bathroom, because you're going to look in the mirror every morning, and that reminds you of what your mission is and your vision and why you're doing it. Is it that picture of your family, or building a legacy, or a bigger picture that you want to eventually get to? So you need those small goals. Being reminded of them, because again, we get that interference, those interruptions all the time, and then before you know it, the first quarter is done with, and you haven't worked towards your goal at all, and now it seems just like this figment of your imagination that's never going to happen, and that can go year after year after year, and it does require commitment. And I think putting those at the forefront of, in your closet, maybe by your clothes, or before you head out the door, somewhere where you can see that every day and be reminded of your mission and why you're doing it.
Right. Yeah. And we've even had people who share with us that they forgot what their goal was. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Well, there was no emotion or passion behind that, because how do you forget your goal, right?
Yeah.
And so if you visualize it by putting it down in pictures, like you mentioned, that's vision casting, or doing a goal poster, which some people think are cheesy.
Yes,
right?
they do, yeah.
And they might judge them or feel funny about doing them. But I like that you said put it in a place, whether it's your closet, you don't have to broadcast to the world that you've done this. I have mine in my bathroom, so not very many people are in there but myself. And, it's powerful. And that also goes back to habits. The habits that you create make you who you are.
Yes.
And if the habits aren't serving you right now, then it's time to change them. And I have heard different things throughout the years. It takes 21 days to create a new habit, or it takes this, or it takes that. And I'm sure that there's science behind it and expertise behind it. But what I know is just start.
Right.
You don't have to make it this big, I'm going to do this for 21 days every day, and then day 8 you forgot, and so now I'm a failure. You don't have to do that to yourself. Just start. So, and it's habit. What is it called when you attach a new
stacking?
habit?
Is that what
stacking.
you're thinking?
Yes.
I knew what you were going to say.
Yes. And so share with everybody what habit stacking is.
So habit stacking is your alarm goes off in the morning, and you would put your running shoes or your exercise clothes right next to the bed, because you're going to put your feet over the side of the bed, get out, and your clothes are right there. It's not that you have to go look for your exercise gear. It's all right there for you. So those 2 habits make it a success for you to go do your yoga in the morning or go out for a walk, whatever that might be.
Right. Setting yourself up for success.
Exactly.
Yes, with all the tools you need.
Yeah, and just start little. You don't have to demand this huge thing for yourself, but just start little, like stacking one habit with something else, and then bring in others as you succeed with it, and they start to grow and they become part of your routine.
Yes, and then the next thing you know, you've met your goals.
Yeah.
And you think, what in the world? How did that happen?
Yeah.
But you actually know because it was purposeful. And if you start with something that's super easy, so everyone brushes their teeth twice a day, right? And so if you put a journal and a pen by your toothbrush, that's all you need to do to habit stack to start journaling. And it could be one sentence, and that counts. And the next thing you know, you go to brush your teeth, and it's a trigger. And you think, oh, I haven't journaled. I didn't write down what I was grateful about. Or even if you don't write it down, it's a trigger that now you think to yourself, what am I grateful about? Just because you're doing the action of that habit of brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
And so something super simple that you're not going to question whether you're going to do, like getting out of bed. You're going to get out of bed, right? You're not going to question what you're going to do, and it's just going to fit right in. So I love that you shared that. That's awesome. And so what else do you, I know that you and I both are avid readers. We like to read different positivity books and different things like that. So besides everything, it's the garbage in, garbage out, right? It's also the good things in, the good things out. Yeah. So besides the habit stacking, besides the mindset by time blocking and thinking about gratitude, thinking about journaling, what else is something that's in your toolbox that you use on an often basis to help you?
I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I ever got when I entered the professional working world is my coworker Chris told me to carry a notepad with me. He's like, there's going to be times people are giving you a lot of information. You have to be able to relay that back to someone, and you don't want to forget what they said. That has been the single most important piece of advice from, my very early 20s in the workforce, and I've carried a notepad ever since. There is no way with everything we have coming at us that we can keep track of these bits and pieces. You're going to forget to call a client back. So have that there, make a note of it. Chances are you're going to remember it after you wrote it down anyways, just because that pen to paper. But when you don't, then it reminds you, I need to get back to Jim. I told him I was going to follow up on this. It's been a couple days, you can move that to the top of a priority list. Right. So I think that, people just may not instill that habit with them and just carry that. As soon as you get in your vehicle, you can write down notes about a client that you want to remember, or put their birthday, and write it down so you remember to put it in your CRM. It's those little details that can help carry your business relationships too, and just help you remember and help you along with your habits and just do a little bit better every day.
Right. There's a saying, the faintest ink is better than the best memory.
Oh my gosh,
and
that's great.
Just what you said. And so I'm with you. I'm a pen to paper girl too, so I like it. We like all of our digital tools, but I still like my paper and I still like my pen. Yep. Another thing that has worked for me is just do it. Of course, that now we have to pay Nike, right? So just the slogan, just do it, because it's true. And it was called Din Club. Do it now, do it now, do it now. So if you have something that is bugging you that you want to do, stop thinking about it, stop analyzing it, stop time blocking for it. Yeah. Just do it.
Yes.
Especially if it's something that takes 2 or 5 minutes. Just do it. Just get it done and stop thinking about it.
Yes.
Because that thinking constantly about everything that you need to get done, that, taking it out of your head, putting it on paper, boy, does that make a difference. And then just do it.
Yes.
And
cross
stop
it
thinking
off.
Yes. I know that 13 years ago, most people know this about me, but I lost 120 pounds 14 years ago and was overweight for my entire life before that. And so people say, well, it's like the hardest thing ever, losing weight. How did you lose 120 pounds? Well, it got to the point where I had to stop trying every fad that came across. I had to just do it.
Yeah.
Right. And I swore I had just tried or just done it 50 times in the past.
Yeah.
Right. And so it truly is a mindset trigger, and it's different for everyone. But for me, I was thinking, I am not thinking like a thin person. I'm also not acting like a thin person. I'm also not working out like a fit person. So how dare I think I should be a thin person? Like, that's like magic, right? So if I actually want to be a thin person, I need to do the things that I see thin people doing.
Right.
And back then it was thin. Now what is more important is being fit and healthy, right? But just having that little mindset shift. There was no magic anything.
Right.
It's just a mindset shift that I decided if I wanted to be a certain way, I need to do the things that I saw others who were where I wanted to be. I wanted to be like those that were in a very different health state than I was. And so it did. It took, about a year, but lost 120 pounds and kept it off for 13 years, 12 years. And so I use that as an example because I know a lot of people in the new year, that's a goal, right?
Yep, the
to
weight loss,
lose
or
weight,
get healthy,
to get healthy. And I do think that people will self-sabotage because I know I did, right? You think, oh, I'm doing all the wrong things. And again, get out of your own head and just do the next thing you're supposed to do. And the next thing you're supposed to do is probably not eat that entire chocolate cake, right? Or the next thing that you're supposed to do is maybe put the shoes next to the bed, right? Whatever that looks like. And so for business, the same thing. People make list after list after list of things they should do, but just do it.
Right.
And I know that seems easier said than done. But once you start, it gets easier. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. You just have to dig in and do it and start chipping away at it, whether it's becoming more healthy or obtaining that big, hairy, audacious goal that you have. You have to do the small things because it's not going to appear quickly overnight. You've got to, it might take you a year and a half to get where you want to be physically and feeling better. And you just simply have to put the work in, and little by little, one travels far.
Right.
That applies to so many things in life, and you just, do it now, because why wait until tomorrow?
Yes, and sometimes you have to have that self-talk.
Yes.
And literally, you feel like you're going crazy because I'm talking to myself now, and I'm telling myself to just do it now. But being on purpose, all of this comes down to being on purpose. Being on purpose because you're clear in what you want. And so that's where we started today and where we're going to end today, is just to really be clear for 2026 who you are, where you want to go, how are you going to get there, who's going to go with you, who is your audience, being clear and setting. It doesn't matter that we're halfway or 3/4 of the way through January and you haven't set those goals yet, perhaps.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
No, I didn't. I made the vision board like in the middle of the year last year.
Right.
I knew what some of my goals were. Some of them I had kind of gotten to, but I didn't do that until the middle of the year. It's okay. That's all right.
Just start now. Start where you can, right?
Yeah.
And then just make the next step. And even if you want to make all of these changes, when you are in gratitude daily, then you can appreciate the little successes you're having as you go. Because if you have a ton of huge goals and then you look back in 6 months and you didn't hit them all, well, then you could really be down on yourself and really go backwards instead of forwards. But if every day you're thinking about the good things that went on and what you're grateful for and joyful for, and what made me laugh today and what was great today, then you get more of that. And then next thing you know, we're in 2027. Hot dog, I did it, right? I did some really good things this year.
Yeah.
And so we wish for all of our listeners and for each other and our chamber community and all of you to just do it.
Yeah,
right?
show up for yourself.
That's
show
right.
up for yourself. We are so busy showing up for others and answering the messages and making ourselves kind of crazy. So can't stress that enough. Show up for yourself, because everyone benefits from that when you show up for yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.